Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host with the biggest nose, JZ Courtside, coming at y'all today on December 3rd, Wednesday. My apologies. I don't know why I always forget the day. Guys, we got a lot of stuff that we got to cover. The NBA basketball last night wasn't the greatest. There was a really good game on Peacock, maybe a good game and a half on the Peacock, and a couple other comebacks with the Timberwolves beating the Pelicans and a bunch of other stuff. That Knicks game was really, really good. So we will talk about that stuff. But first up today, y'all, we got to talk about some breaking news that Shams dropped yesterday. Okay. It's about a longtime veteran in the NBA, and it's about, I guess, technically another veteran in the NBA who's going to be missing even more time than anticipated. Okay. So before we get into all of that, podcast listeners, be sure to leave a 5-star rating and review. On top of that, y'all, be sure, if you're watching live, to drop a like, drop a subscription, do all that jazz. And now, actually, I just got reminded by a topic by my Twitch chat. Okay, so we'll start. We'll talk about that after we talk about the guy that got injured. Okay. We'll talk about that. I don't have a lower third made for it, but we will talk about that. Thank you, Brew, in the Twitch chat. This is why you guys gotta, watch these podcasts live Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern, so that you could truly see and be interactive in these podcasts. Let's get started with our first topic of discussion. The Los Angeles Clippers part ways with legend Chris Paul. Now, this actually rattled me to my core when I woke up this morning. I'm actually very upset by it. I can't fathom that a franchise who doesn't have any jerseys hung up in the rafters, not one jersey is retired in this franchise. Not a single one. The one guy that you're probably going to retire their jersey for is Chris Paul. You could argue Blake Griffin, but the way that they did him at the end of his tenure, after they promised that he would be a Clipper for life and did a practice jersey retirement for him, and then they shipped his ass to Detroit. I'll tell you this much. Chris Paul is not the reason that this team has lost 5 straight. Chris Paul is not the reason that they have lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. They have lost 14 out of their last 16 games. Chris Paul is not the reason for this. You go ahead and part ways with Chris Paul, the literal face of your entire franchise, the guy who made your franchise relevant, the guy who made you guys money, the guy who came back and wanted to do his retirement send-off, his farewell tour with the team that he really got going with. And then GM, former Pistons head coach, Lawrence Frank, and current GM for the Los Angeles Clippers, that little leprechaun. Go ahead and look up a picture of Lawrence Frank while you're at it. He came out and said, "We are parting ways with Chris, and he will no longer be with the team. We will work with him on the next step of his career. Chris is a legendary Clipper who has had a historic career. I want to make one thing very clear. No one is blaming Chris for our underperformance. I accept responsibility for the record we have right now. There are a lot of reasons why we've struggled, and we're grateful for the impact Chris has made on the franchise." What a load of malarkey. What a load of it. You really do this to the guy that wanted to come back and finish his career with a franchise that he had the most success with. Yes, he never won a championship there. Yes, I understand all of that. But if there's, I was having like some flashbacks, and I was sitting at my computer, and I wanted to think of, like, when it's all said and done, how am I going to think of Chris Paul, right? 20 years from now, how am I going to think of him? Chris Paul is arguably, he's a top 5 point guard guaranteed of all time, right? I mean, let's just look at the point guards, right? You have a Magic Johnson. Yeah. You have a Isaiah Thomas. I'm talking Pistons Isaiah Thomas. You have Steph Curry, right? You have, and people don't even want to argue Steph Curry because he's a shooting guard, right? You have, and then right there, I think John Stockton, Chris Paul, and like I'd say Chris Paul or I'd say Chris Paul's sort of interchangeable with like a Jason Kidd or like a Steve Nash, right? The way that you are going to remember Chris Paul is being one of the greatest floor generals in NBA history. When he was on the floor, he was orchestrating a beauty of an offense. So the fact that they cut him in the midst of his farewell tour, he just announced it last week that this is going to be his last season in the NBA. I'll tell y'all this much, man. As somebody that grew up with the late 2000s and 2010s basketball, to see legends that I grew up watching, like LeBron James, like Dwayne Wade, who retired, like Carmelo Anthony, who retired, like Chris Bosh, who was forced to retire with blood clots, like Chris Paul, Dirk Nowitzki, who's retired. The list can go on. Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, all of these players, man. And then to see Chris Paul being done like this is depressing. I forgot Kevin Durant and Steph Curry, of course. It's just sad because my whole thing is like I see people on Twitter talking about how, Chris Paul can go finally get that ring. Go sign with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Go get yourself a guaranteed ring. I don't think y'all truly understand. The Oklahoma City Thunder, we're actually going to talk about them in today's podcast. I know we never talk about the Thunder, but we're actually going to be talking about them. Okay? They can't sign Chris Paul. The Thunder, I just want to talk briefly on that. They cannot sign Chris Paul. People are fighting for their roster spots in Oklahoma. Like, when I tell you how deep they are that deep where they can't afford to have a veteran just occupying a spot on the bench. Now, if they wanted to bring him in as an assistant coach, sure. At least he'd get a ring that way, but it wouldn't count as a championship ring in the resume on Basketball Reference. It would count as a ring that he coached for. So my issue with this is the way they went about it, right? It's the way they went about it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's say the Clippers right now were a top 3 team in the West. Let's say Kawhi plays all his games. Let's say Harden plays all his games. Let's say Zubats and Derrick Jones Jr. and Bradley Beal. Well, okay, maybe not Bradley Beal. Let's say this whole team is healthy, happy, and they're playing well, right? This doesn't happen. So for you to come out, Lawrence Frank, I haven't forgiven Lawrence Frank what he did in Detroit, by the way. For what? The way that you did this and with what you said, you're telling me it's not because he underperformed? You're telling me it's because of just reasons? Yeah, you know what, Lawrence Frank, Clippers org, I wish you nothing but poverty for the rest of your existence. I know you just got that new arena, Intuit Dome. Don't care. The Wall, don't care. I hope, I've never prayed on somebody's downfall like this, but I hope that aspirations thing, that whole paying Kawhi under the table, in case you don't know, let me just explain so that, you know, all my basketball knowers and non-knowers understand what I'm referring to when I talk about this. Kawhi Leonard was reportedly getting paid under the table from a charity group called Aspirations that plants trees. Steve Ballmer, former CEO of Microsoft, is the owner of the Los Angeles Clippers. And it's reported that he was partnered with this Aspirations company that plants trees and was paying them $45 million to then give to Kawhi Leonard for supposedly partnering with them. A charitable organization. So that's being investigated right now. And I'll just tell y'all, I hope I hope that this is true. I hope he really did get paid under the table. I hope this franchise never sees the light of success. Blow it up, trade Harden to Detroit, trade Kawhi to Miami, blow it up. Ivica Zubac, go to Boston. This is unbelievable. I'm going to read what the homie Saint said in the YouTube chat. He said, "Sat home is so disrespectful way to say someone is getting cut. I can't believe this. I am disgusted." Just somebody that has grown up watching Chris Paul, you waited until he did his farewell tour. You waited until he announced that this is his last season to go ahead and stab him in the back, huh? This is depressing. This is depressing. Sorry, I just had to get that off my chest. I hope you all understand. Chris Paul is one of my favorite players of all time that never got to see success. Chris Paul, when we look back at him, is going to be the Charles Barkley of the 90s. The way that people talk about Charles Barkley is the way that we're going to be talking about Chris Paul. Because funny enough, you don't really hear Karl Malone, John Stockton. You don't really hear their names come up when you talk about legends without rings. It always goes back to one man, and that's Charles Barkley. So I think that's sort of going to happen to our generation as well. We're not really going to be talking about a Carmelo Anthony never getting a ring. We're never really going to talk about a Tracy McGrady or a Vince Carter never getting a ring. We're probably all going to resort to talking about Chris Paul. You know why? Because he was the most successful individually out of all of these other players in this generation. Argue with a wall, Chris Paul is a top 5 in his position of all time. You can't say the same thing about a T-Mac, a Vince Carter, or Carmelo Anthony. And you can say the same thing for Charles Barkley as well in his position. Let's move on to another depressing topic. Because if you think that that's going to help the Los Angeles Clippers, it ain't. Yeah, none of this would have ever happened if David Stern didn't block that Chris Paul trade to the Los Angeles Lakers. You are absolutely correct. Let's move on to another segment let's move on to another topic in the segment I'd like to call Nothing to Smile About in My Life. Thank you, Josh. Zion Williamson will continue to sit out for the New Orleans Pelicans for an extended amount of time with a right adductor injury. He will be reevaluated in 3 weeks. Now, mind you, everybody, that does not mean that he will be back in 3 weeks. That means he will be reevaluated in 3 weeks. You guys understand what's going on here? Zion Williamson returned November 19th after missing just over 2 weeks with a hamstring injury, playing in 5 of the Pelicans' past 7 games before sustaining this adductor strain, which will sideline him for a much longer period. Zion freaking Williamson. Ladies and gentlemen, did you know that he's 25 years old? Did you guys know that? The next generational talent, the most hyped up prospect since LeBron James. And he's out again. Zion. You fooled me again, my boy. You fooled me again. I fell for this 3 years ago. I fell for this 2 years ago. Last year, I fell for it as well, averaging 27 points on, 35 or 40 games played? 50? I don't know. Zion Williamson, my boy. I fell for it again. You got skinny. You cut off all the fat. You came into the offseason ripped, skinny, shoulders like prime David Robinson. A jawline sculpted from the Greek gods themselves. And I fell for it again. Now, 5 games into the season, you're out. Now, 5 games into the season, you're out again. You're getting reevaluated, just like you always have been. You're averaging 22 points, 5.5 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal and a half a block, 31 minutes a game, 51% from the field, 0% from 3. This is just absolutely depressing. He played in his rookie year 24 games. In his second year, 61. Third year, 29. Fourth year, 70. He played 70 games, y'all. 30 games last year, averaging 25 points per game. And he's played 10 games already. I fell for it again, man. I said maybe every other season Zion Williamson plays a lot of games, because I knew he played 70 and I knew he played 61. So I was thinking going into this year, okay, so he plays a little amount of games and then plays a lot of games. Plays a little amount of games, then plays a lot of games. Plays a little games and then plays a lot of games. I thought that this year that pattern was going to follow. I thought that tradition was going to continue, where he doesn't play, then he plays a lot. Then he doesn't play, then he plays a lot. But it looks like it's not going to happen, because if he's getting reevaluated in another 3 weeks, that means at minimum he's going to be missing another 10 to 15 games, and that's reevaluated, ladies and gentlemen. That is reevaluated. Not back in 3 weeks, reevaluated. He's got to see another doctor. Zion, I am fully out. What does this mean for the New Orleans Pelicans? Well, let me explain. There's a couple teams in this NBA right now that I think should absolutely just blow her up. Blow her up, man. Blow her up. You ready? You got the Pelicans at number 1. Blow it up. I'm done. Get rid of Zion. Get whatever scrap you can get out of him, because it's over. Just take what you can get at this point. Get something. Second round pick, a young player, an expiring contract, something. Move on. Okay? Should I even look at the rest of this roster? Because we all know, I think you got to get rid of Saddiq Bey. He can do well on a contender. Jose Alvarado, he can do well on a contender. Get rid of him as well. I think Jose would be great with like the Warriors, for example, right? Jeremiah Fears, that's your young player. What's his name? Derek Queen? That's your young player. Everybody else other than Missy, get rid of him. I'm talking Trey Murphy. I'm talking Jordan Poole. I'm talking Herb Jones. Get rid of them. Get any value you can out of this roster that you've poorly constructed and start over. You got Fears. You got Queen. Blow the rest up. Blow it up. Because at this point, this is almost to the point of being unsalvageable. They're talking about relocation. They're talking about deleting your franchise. They're talking about moving your ass to Seattle. They're talking about being the worst franchise in existence in NBA history. Blow it up. Try one last time. If all else fails, unfortunately, there's no other resolution other than relocating. And I don't want to see that happen. I talked to a lot of Supersonics fans, and I don't want to see another franchise lose, another city lose their team. Because I don't know if you guys need a quick reminder. I will never forget that year that Anthony Davis dragged that team into an 8th seed, and they had I'm just talking off the dome right now, and they had that whole sea of red shirts in the crowd. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? When Steph Curry, they inbounded the ball, 1 versus 8 seed. Steph Curry had the ball in the corner, missed the 3. Andre Iguodala got the rebound, passed it back out to Curry, shot another 3 in the corner, got tackled by Anthony Davis and another player. I don't remember. They didn't call a foul, but Curry hit that 3. You guys know what I'm talking about. The fans show up. They have a lot of fans in this city. I would hate to see them lose their team. You can get a couple second round picks, maybe a first if you're lucky. I wouldn't trade a first round pick for Zion. In case you guys don't know, with the new CBA deal, with the new second apron, teams do not want to trade their first round picks. I think what you saw with the whole Desmond Bane trade is going to be the last time in a long time that you see that many first round picks leave. Same with the Mikal Bridges. You're not going to see that sort of package go out anymore, especially for a player of Zion's lack of availability. So yeah, here's what we're doing, man. Here's what we're doing. We're talking about what's next for a franchise that is still fresh. In case you guys don't remember, it was the New Orleans Hornets. That's where Chris Paul played. And then they changed to the New Orleans Pelicans when the Hornets changed to the Bobcats and then got their name back to the Charlotte Hornets. You could argue that the Charlotte Hornets are the worst franchise in NBA history. You could argue that. In my opinion, it's between the Hornets or the Pelicans. And it's depressing. It's depressing. But what I will say is it could always be worse. You could be a Kings fan, or you can be a Bulls fan in the 21st century. It could be worse. It could always be worse, ladies and gents. And that's something that you should learn. That's something that people should look at. It could always be worse. As a Pistons fan, I have suffered. For most of my life, I have suffered. I was born in 98. For most of my life, I have suffered with my team. So I understand that it might be grim. But at least you're not the Sacramento Kings or the Chicago Bulls. I see a guy named Matt in the TikTok saying, "Hey man, Bulls are aight." The Bulls are not aight. In fact, I think they are so far from being aight. It's bad, man. It's bad. Because the Chicago Bulls, if Montez Buzelis does one thing wrong, he gets yanked by Billy Donovan. You don't play your 12th pick. The Chicago Bulls don't care about being young, being bad, and then being good. They care about being mediocre. And that is the heart of what being a Chicago Bulls fan is. They're going to trade for Anthony Davis and just stay in mediocrity. That's it. That's all the Chicago Bulls care about. They care about money. And as long as they're getting money in their pockets from a big name face, that's what matters. I'm going to read this mention or this message in the YouTube chat. This guy said, "They will never leave NOLA. Y'all so MF dumb. Gail Benson already said she'd never sell. And when she dies, it's being sold to the city to someone that has to keep the team in the city. It's in her will. Stay on the relocation poop, though, bud." I literally said that they're not going to get relocated. I don't know why you're so angry. All right, I'm going to be more careful about what I read in the YouTube chat. My fault, yo. I thought that was going to be an actual intellectual comment. My fault, bro. My fault. I thought you were going to say a point that was of value. But yeah, thank you for letting me know that Gail Benson has the Pelicans in her will. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, go Bears. Go Bears, man. My man. Okay, ladies and gents, before I move on from this topic, I do want to say, if you guys are enjoying the live morning show, you would enjoy it so much more in the Twitch stream, where you can interact with me and actually get all of your messages read, connect with my community, and hang out with all of us in a nice, tight-knit group. Okay, so if you are in the TikTok, if you are in the YouTube, be sure to come through to the Twitch stream. If you're wondering what the Twitch stream name is, it's JZ Uncut. We do these sports talks every morning, Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern. The Twitch link is in my TikTok bio, okay? I hope to see you guys come through. Drop a follow and I'll give you guys a shout out. Don't worry. Drop a follow on the Twitch and I'll give you a shout out, of course. Okay, so like I said, Pels fans, it could always be worse. You could be the Sacramento Kings. You could be the Chicago Bulls. So, unfortunately, I don't have much else I could say about that franchise. I'm sorry, Pels fans. I'm with y'all, man. I understand. It will get better. You got fears and you got Queen. Okay? Now, we already talked about the Clippers and what they did to Chris Paul. So, guys, if you are upset that you missed that segment, be sure to drop a follow. And remember that we go live every morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern. All right? Okay, let's move on to our next segment, y'all, which is last night's game. Last night's game. The game on the cock. The game on the cock on Peacock, NBC. The Boston Celtics outlast the New York Knicks 123 to 117. We have not talked about the Knicks yet. We will now. Don't worry. I'm not going to overreact. Don't worry, everybody. I'm not going to overreact. Brunson sucked. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to overreact. This game was a sight to see. I really enjoyed watching this one. It was looking like it was about to be a blowout. And then the Knicks came back. They fought back and they made it a game towards the end. What I will like to say is the Knicks didn't really fight back. It was one guy, and it was Mikal Bridges. 35 points on 8 for 12 shooting from deep. Mikal Bridges, honestly, bro, I'm sorry, because you had to take such a back seat to this team when you are such a good basketball player. If there's like an archetype that I love in the NBA, it's a wing that can defend the perimeter and shoot when and just has the green light. I love Mikal Bridges. I think that trade package was a lot. It was a lot. But when you look at the value he brings to a team, I think it really stands out. Unfortunately, when OG Anunoby comes back, he will be the fourth option yet again in the starting lineup. And I love Mikal Bridges. He literally single-handedly brought this team back when they were down. What were they down, yo? Like 18? I think they were down 18 at the highest. I can check in just a second. Biggest lead, 18. Man, I'm good. I am good. I'd like to talk about some stinkers on the New York Knicks, and then I would like to talk about some trending topics here, y'all. So Jalen Brunson, holy poop. 15 points, 11 assists, 6 for 21 from the field, 1 for 8 from the three-point land. 33% true shooting. I remember when Cade Cunningham shot 33% true shooting, and everybody lit Cade up. But fortunately, Cade Cunningham was just named the Eastern Conference Player of the Month. Jalen Brunson, on the other hand, lost last night to a Jason Tatum-less Boston Celtic team. I'm being rude. I apologize. Knicks fans, don't turn me off. I'm just being a little disrespectful. My apologies. Let me lock in. What I will say, though, and this is me being full transparency, fully honest, Brunson sold them this game. I think he could tell you firsthand that he sold them this game. I don't know why he went for that dribble, step back three, that garbage layup at the end. Dude, I know your fourth quarter. I know how clutch Jalen Brunson is. I witnessed it firsthand when he hit that step back and when he went crazy against my Pistons in the playoffs. Like, I fully understand how clutch he is, how good he is. But when Mikal Bridges is shooting the way he's shooting, playing the way he's playing, being aggressive as he was last night, you swing that damn ball to Mikal Bridges. I don't know why Brunson thought it was hero game for him. Bro, you have a player that is scorching hot. Give him the ball. Their bench was horrible. I don't know if you guys watched the Yabusele minutes. Horrible. Celtics are like the only team in the NBA that I see that utilize the hack-a-shack on Mitchell Robinson. That took him out of the game. In case you guys were not watching, the Celtics were down 14. And then they started doing the hack-a-shack strat on Mitchell Robinson, and that took a lot of time. They even got a technical foul free throw because they fouled under 2 minutes left in the quarter. But that ripped all the momentum out of the Knicks' chest. As soon as that happened, he only took 4 free throws. He only took 4 free throws, right? But that took all the momentum that the Knicks had and swung it Boston's way. I'd like to give a massive shout out before I'm not done talking about the Knicks, but I'd love to give a massive shout out to 2 players in the Celtics, and it ain't even the guy that dropped 42 points. I'm talking about Jordan Walsh, Charlie Villanueva Jr., and Hugo Gonzalez. I'll get to them later. I will get to them later. Josh Hart had an electric first quarter, did nothing for the rest of the game. Okay? And then I would like to have a conversation now. This is why I enjoy doing my podcasts live, right? This is your guys' turn, your guys' time to now bring in some fun topics, okay? So I'd like to talk about Karl-Anthony Towns, and I'd love to hear what you guys have to say on this matter. When I checked Twitter after this game, all Knicks accounts, every single Knicks account, were campaigning to trade Karl-Anthony Towns. Get rid of Cat, trade him, get rid of him. Can't wait till this bum is off my team. He doesn't play with pride. Get him out of New York. And then I'm going to read you his stats real quick. 29 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, plus 10 on the court, 12 for 19 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, and he shot 71% for true shooting. Now, I'm going to give you my opinion on this night. I would love to hear everybody else's opinion. And be sure to come through to the Twitch stream so that I could actually read your messages. I can sometimes pick and choose from the TikTok, but the screen's too little. So if you guys would like to actually get involved in this conversation, I need some more Knicks fans in here. So come through to the Twitch stream. The link is in my bio. So in my opinion, watching Karl-Anthony Towns play this game, okay, I got asked by one of my Knicks fans last week, who is an NBA player that I hate the most? It took me a minute to think. And I said, right now in this current NBA, it's Karl-Anthony Towns. I said, because he's a major front runner. He pisses me off. And his energy, like his God, what's the term? What's the term when like somebody's like, his body language, that's it. His body language, damn, it just came to me. His body language and demeanor, it looks like this dude doesn't want to play basketball. Genuinely. Like, I can't tell you how many times on the TV last night I heard, oh my God! Oh my God! Was that a good impression? Be honest. Karl-Anthony Towns just wants free throws. Karl-Anthony Towns just wants to flail his arms, flip his head, and whenever something doesn't go his way, what does he do? Dumb foul after dumb foul after dumb foul. That's one of my personal favorite things about Karl-Anthony Towns, especially when the Pistons play against him, even back when he was on the Timberwolves. Just get him upset, and he's going to do a stupid foul that gets him in foul trouble. Bro, I was watching Karl-Anthony Towns struggle against Hugo Gonzalez. That's what I was watching. Karl-Anthony Towns was struggling against a 19-year-old kid in Hugo Gonzalez. Doesn't even have a picture on StatMuse because he's a rookie. I said this last year. The New York Knicks will not win a championship with Karl-Anthony Towns. Karl-Anthony Towns is not a winner. He's not a winner. My apologies. He's not a winner. I understand. I talked about Jalen Brunson already. He had a bad game. You, as a basketball watcher, you can admit that Jalen Brunson had a bad game. He's the reason that they lost that last night. But I am telling you right now, Karl-Anthony Towns cannot win at all on your team. And whether you guys agree or disagree, that's my honest opinion. Cat is not a 5. Cat has always been better when he's at the 4. The issue with that is they don't have a competent 5. They have Mitchell Robinson, who's really good at offensive rebounds. Listen, y'all, there's a reason, like, you shouldn't question why the Knicks traded Julius Randle. You shouldn't question that, right? The one thing that you should question is, why did Minnesota just willingly trade their number 2 guy after they just made the conference finals? That should have been a dead giveaway, y'all. That should have been a dead giveaway. They just made the conference finals. And then they just up and traded their number 2 and then made the conference finals again with the former Knick. There's a reason why they did that. There's a reason why they traded that. Did people not think, why would they get, we just fleeced them. We just fleeced them. Why did the Timberwolves give us their number 2? We just fleeced them. Well, you're seeing why. You're seeing why. Jay Nasty. I'd like to give a special shout out to Jay Nasty for coming through to the Twitch stream and dropping a follow. My boy, welcome to the community. Good to have you. Okay, I think I'm done with my Knicks talk. I talked about how good of a game it was for Mikal Bridges. I talked about how bad of a game it was for Jalen Brunson. And I talked about how uninspiring of a game that was for Karl-Anthony Towns. And if I hear any Knicks fans say, we were missing Landry Shamet, we were missing, no. You can talk about missing OG Anunoby, but let's not bring up that Landry Shamet talk, bro. This is 2025. We ain't talking about Landry Shamet. All right, he's a good player, good role player off the bench. Jay Nasty came into the Twitch stream, and I'm gonna read this comment. He said Jalen Brunson is elite, but the Knicks will never win with him. Think about the last time someone won with an undersized guard as their main guy. Jay Steph Curry 4 times. Listen, bro, I'm all for I'm all for you coming to the Twitch stream. This is why we do these podcasts live, ladies and gentlemen, because we get things that we just don't predict here. Nobody else is doing it like us. Yeah, I mean, Kyrie, Steph Curry. Listen, y'all, Jalen Brunson is a very talented player. I hate him. Personally, I think Jalen Brunson is in my top 3 for most hated players in the NBA. There is one thing I will say about Jalen Brunson, though. No, Brunson will never be better than Curry. No. But he said when was the last time a team won with an undersized guard? I'm gonna explain why I hate Jalen Brunson. I need to explain my hatred. I love basketball, and I love basketball first and foremost, number one, right? No, I like the Knicks as a franchise. I love the Knicks, man. I had Carmelo shoes when he was on the Knicks. I mained the Knicks back on 2K11, 2K12, 2K13 with Amari, Carmelo. I love the Knicks as a franchise. Very historic franchise. In case you guys are wondering why I do hate the New York Knicks, I don't know if I've ever made it known. Or sorry, why I hate Jalen Brunson. I guess I hate the Knicks by association now because the most hated player in the NBA for me is Karl-Anthony Towns. King Moose, I love that question that you just said. I will get back to you, okay? Jalen Brunson is an incredible talent. He is a great player. He is a great player. I'm not denying his skill, his footwork, his finesse, his ability to finish around the rim, his shot creation ability, his playmaking. I'm not denying Jalen Brunson's skill. That dude is a monster. I love watching him play when he's not against my team. Okay. Oh, well, actually, I'm changing. No, I'm restructuring what I just said because I hated watching him against the Pacers. I hated watching him against the Celtics. I love his passion. Exactly. My biggest issue with Jalen Brunson, and I hope you guys don't get upset when I say this, okay? Because once again, I'm not denying his ability to play basketball. So nobody think that I'm denying his skill, okay? No, I'm reading the TikTok comments as well, just so you know, but I respond more to the Twitch chat. Twitch chat actually wants to have conversation. That's why I prioritize my Twitch chat. So I have a couple questions from the Twitch stream right now that I'm actually responding. I do read the TikTok. It's just most of the things that I respond to are engaging conversation. People ask questions. People want my opinion on something. That's typically in the Twitch stream. If you guys want to get involved in the real conversation, be sure to follow the Twitch. I shout out everybody at the end of each segment. Okay. Guys, listen. I need to get on with my point. I do not enjoy watching Jalen Brunson. I do appreciate his skill. He is undeniably one of the best point guards in the NBA right now. So do not take offense when I say this. I do not enjoy the foul baiting. I say the same thing for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I say the same thing for any other player in the NBA. I'm going to give, and please, before you guys flip out, before you guys freak out, please understand where I'm coming from. Cade Cunningham is the star of my team, right? Another player I enjoy watching is Anthony Edwards, okay? Both of those players don't seek contact, okay? Now, nobody get offended by me saying that, okay? I'm just speaking purely off of watching basketball, okay? All I'm saying is that for somebody that enjoys ethical hoops, there's nobody better than to watch than a Cade Cunningham, than an Anthony Edwards. This was with the game on the line. Cade Cunningham going and beating all 5 defenders and not doing a head flinch, not doing a fake. I need you guys to understand where I'm coming from. That is the reason why I do not enjoy talking or watching about Jalen Brunson. I'm not denying his ability of skill. He is incredible. He is unbelievable, right? And I understand that Jalen Brunson is 6'2". I understand that. But that does not validate Did you get the visual representation? I know I was quiet during that sing. Sorry for everybody, all the podcast listeners. I was flipping my head back and forth to show. Listen, my dad doesn't watch basketball, right? He does not watch basketball anymore. He tunes in once in a while. Last year in the playoffs when the Pistons played against the Knicks, he texted me. He was like, "Son, what's up with this guy Brunson? He keeps flipping his head back and forth. What's he doing?" I was like, he's foul baiting. He's what? He's pretending to be hit to get free throws. As somebody that was at both of those playoff games in Detroit, I flew up to Detroit to go watch games 3 and 4. I'm telling you firsthand, it's actually unbelievable watching such an elite talent in the NBA flop as much as he does. That's my issue. Jalen Brunson is a top player in the NBA. You don't need to be doing this. You know what I mean? You don't need to be doing this. I know how good Jalen Brunson is. We all know how good Jalen Brunson is. None of us are doubting that. But to see you as good as you are, throw that head back, flail, I'm not a personal fan of that. So for everybody wondering what I was saying, I do not despise or hate Jalen Brunson, but his play style aggravates me. Oh, I keep that same energy with Shai. I keep that same energy with Luka. What I will say the difference in Shai and Luka, this is not defending them in any which way. They know how to get you in the air, okay? Luka in particular, he'll do that pump fake, see them jump, and he'll jump into him. Now, the NBA said that they were doing away with that. They said that they were doing away with that, and they didn't. They didn't. They still do it. And, you know, I'm reading this comment right now on the TikTok. John said Shai and Luka are much more talented than Brunson. I think size plays a part. When you're that small, which Brunson is, he needed to find something that's his go-to, and unfortunately, foul baiting is one of those things. Now, that does not take away from his skill. He is an unbelievable talent. He killed us in the playoffs last year. I love, like, his skill at basketball is undeniable, but I'm just not a fan of anybody that foul baits, and that's the honest truth, okay? You know, you do not need to defend Jalen Brunson. Believe me, TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, nobody needs to defend Jalen Brunson. I'm defending him. He is an elite talent, and he's incredible. He just so happens to also foul bait. He's been doing it less this year, I will admit. Meanwhile, Shai and Luka have sort of turned it up. I'm not a fan of it. I'm a fan of ethical hoops, and Cade Cunningham plays like sweet jazz music, bro. And that's my player. Now, for everybody that has just tuned in case you guys need a recap of what we talked about, if you guys have missed some of the topics of discussion, be sure to, you know, follow the Spotify, follow the YouTube channel, Jay-Z Courtside. We're also on Apple Podcasts. We talked about Chris Paul. We talked about Zion Williamson. In case you guys don't know, Chris Paul was cut by the Clippers. Zion Williamson is going to be reevaluated in another 3 weeks. So we talked about that. And then we just broke down the Knicks and Celtics games. I didn't even talk about the Celtics. Listen, Jaylen Brown was undeniable last night. He was inevitable. Jaylen Brown went crazy. Shout out Jaylen Brown, 42 points. He was playing out of his mind. Jordan Walsh, bro, you had like 4 offensive rebounds at the end of the game that sealed this game. You stopped them personally from coming back. Hugo Gonzalez was playing absolutely disgusting against Karl Anthony Towns. I already talked about how bad Cat was, so there's no point in even doing that. Peyton Pritchard had a horrible night. Bro, Hugo Gonzalez, man, I just got to admit, I was not familiar with your game whatsoever. You weren't doing anything against Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart. But for Karl Anthony Towns, bro, you made Karl Anthony Towns look like he was 6 foot. Beautiful, man. Just beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. I love to hear it, man. I love to hear it, man. It's fun. It's fun. All right, guys. Let's move on to our last subject. Our last topic. This one's different. Okay. This isn't going to be like a true or false or any of that. I appreciate all the follows over there on TikTok. I do appreciate you guys. Now that we're moving into our last segment of today's episode, now's the perfect time to take a second, drop a like on wherever you're watching, drop a follow. We do these morning shows Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern live. And if you guys do want to get involved, do exactly what the homie Master Plane just did and follow the Twitch stream. The link is in my bio. That's typically where I read most of the messages to get conversations involved. Oh, wait, I wanted to respond. The homie in the Twitch stream, King Moose, asked me a great question that I want to say before we move on to our last segment. He said, what do the Knicks need to win a championship? It's a great question. Here's the thing. I haven't talked about Giannis yet. Maybe I should. Let's talk about it. Giannis Antetokounmpo just deleted all of his social media from the last 4 years. He deleted everything Bucks related, excluding winning the championship and winning the cup. And he's just deleted everything. I don't know what this means for Giannis. Unfortunately for me, the Pistons play Giannis today. And I feel like he's pissed and he's going to take it out on the Pistons. In case you guys don't know, the Pistons lost 23 games in a row against the Bucks until we beat them this year without Giannis. Now that Giannis is back, I have a bad feeling that Giannis is going to go for 70 points tonight against Tobias Harris, y'all. I have a bad feeling. If I were JB Bickerstaff, I would be starting Isaiah Stewart tonight next to Jalen Durham. Yeah, maybe a Giannis. They might need a Giannis or something. I don't know. It's not Karl-Anthony Towns, though. I can guarantee you that. Jay Nasty said a tall guard to be their main guy. Hey, man. Let's move on to our last topic of conversation, y'all. And I haven't talked about this team, okay? I have not talked about this team. Okay, you know what? I got another good question. So before I get on to our last topic, let me respond to this. Master Plane left the TikTok stream and came through to the Twitch, and he said, quick question, where do you think the Miami Heat will drop? Where do I think they'll drop, or where do I think they'll be placed? I got a lot of Heat fans in here. With the way that the East currently is, is top 4 out of the realm of possibility. I think they'll be a top 4 at this point. And I was laughing at it before the season, but I think top 4 is very realistic for the Miami Heat. Yeah, that's what I think. Okay, let's move on to our last topic. And it's about the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I haven't talked about them. There hasn't been anything to talk about, to be fair. The topic is, do we finally have a dynasty? In case you guys don't know, there's been 7 different champions in the NBA for the last 7 years. We haven't had a repeat champion since 2018. That was with Kevin Durant and Steph Curry. That's how long ago that was. And, well, the Oklahoma City Thunder have won 13 in a row. They have a record of 21-1 right now. And I don't see this stopping anytime soon. It's the NBA. You could lose on any given night. Just take a look at their schedule, though. Dallas, Utah, Phoenix, Los Angeles Clippers, Minnesota. This team is, dude, we haven't even seen them at their full power yet. I feel like it's Frieza, man. I feel like this is straight up like the Frieza arc. You haven't even seen my final form yet. It's truly unbelievable. They have a chance at beating or breaking the all-time record in the 73-9 Warriors. And I'm not just saying that. Dude, they demolished the Warriors without Curry. But they were missing Alex Caruso, Isaiah Hartenstein, Lou Dort. Come on, man. Like, this team. And here's the thing. I straight up came out and said that you could cut the Oklahoma City Thunder roster in half, just take the bottom half, and they'll still be a playoff team. Like, they are this good. And I haven't really been talking about them because they're just that good. It's sort of boring to talk about the inevitable. You know what I mean? The Warriors had to try to break that 72-10 record. They had to try to beat that. They ended up flaming out in the finals. As you guys know, LeBron James came back from a 3-1 deficit, the only 3-1 deficit in NBA history. They had to try to break that record. Hell, I remember that season, the 73-9 season for the Warriors. I remember they played in Detroit. I was at this game. It was Ben Wallace's jersey retirement night, and the Pistons beat them. I think the Pistons had Andre Drummond, Reggie Jackson, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Tobias Harris, Marcus Morris, Reggie Bullock. You know, we beat them that night. The Oklahoma City Thunder I don't think they have to try. I don't think they have to try to break that record. I think it just might happen. It's unfair watching this team, man. It's unfair. What more can I say is other than we might finally have a dynasty. We might finally have a dynasty, y'all. Obviously, I'm talking about just the finals element. When I say the only team to ever come back from a 3-1 deficit, obviously, I'm only referring to the finals. Elman, Mr. Well, actually, in the TikTok. Obviously, you all know what I'm talking about when I say that. Well, actually, if you're just talking about 3-1 deficits in the playoffs, unless you're talking about just the finals, what do you? This is why I prioritize my Twitch chat, y'all. Okay. Yeah, we might finally have a dynasty, ladies and gents. We might finally actually have a dynasty. On top of this, my Twitch chat's reminding me, they got picks. They got still so many more picks. They got, let's just say the Thunder flame out and they lose, right? Let's say that. Bro, they can go get Giannis right now if they want. They can go get Giannis. They got plenty. Why can't they get Giannis? They can. They can afford him. In fact, they can offer a better deal than any other team in the NBA. So here's the thing. Let's say the Knicks traded for Giannis. Let's just talk hypotheticals right now. It would be a package of like Mikal Bridges, Karl-Anthony Towns, OG Anunoby, like 2 first-round picks and like a second-round pick, right? Bro, you look at the offer that the Thunder can offer. They can offer just straight up. Straight up. Obviously, you got to match the contract. But you could offer Chet Holmgren 3 first-round picks and call it a day. Genuinely. You could. Obviously, you have to make the salary match. So unless they have another player on a contract, that I guess Jalen Williams, that's like a $30 million contract. And like an Alex Caruso or something, right? It would be insane. Big shout out to the homie Swung Chubbs for leaving the TikTok stream and following the Twitch stream. Ladies and gents, the link is in my bio. Swung said, I genuinely think we can get the record and have a serious run in the playoffs with little struggle, might I add. I agree. I agree. Load management does not matter with a team this deep. I fully agree with you. I fully agree. They also have the Clippers swap next year. Yes, they do. They absolutely do. Send Zion to OKC for the LAC pick they got. Unbelievable. No, the Thunder do not need Giannis. But what I'm saying is if they lose this year, we can talk about it. If Giannis isn't traded by then, if they lose, we can talk about it. Just like how with any other team, they might need that extra piece, right? Once they lose and they need to get over a hump. Because if they lose this year, that's not good. That's not good at all. Because they're stacked. Like the next 10 years are set in stone. What would the Cavs need to give up for Giannis? I'm hanging up. If I'm Milwaukee, I'm personally hanging up. You can keep Jared Allen. You can keep Big Toe Darius Garland. I'm good. I am good. You can keep him. All right, guys. That is going to wrap up today's episode of our morning show. Nice stutter. If you guys enjoy these episodes and you've missed the majority of this podcast, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel Jay-Z Courtside. Not just that, we are still live on Twitch. That's where the predominant answers are. If you are still on the Twitch stream, be sure to not leave. Don't go anywhere because we stick around a little bit longer on Twitch than we do for TikTok and YouTube. There's a lot of advantages of watching on Twitch, y'all. Podcast listeners, be sure to leave a 5-star rating and review. And again, the Twitch streams are the best spot to watch all of these live Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern. So TikTok, YouTube, if you guys did enjoy, be sure to swing on into the Twitch stream because we're not done yet. All right. I got nothing left to say, y'all, except for thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. And as always, guys, thank you for watching/listening. I'll see y'all tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. Be sure to drop a follow. Don't miss it. And come through to the Twitch stream. I appreciate y'all, man. All right. TikTok, I still see y'all over there, bro. Make sure to drop a follow and come